Today on Becoming an Intelligent Investor, we sit down with Rebaabetswe Makhudu, a certified financial planner and wealth manager whose journey reflects discipline, curiosity, and a deep passion for helping people build financial confidence. In this conversation, we unpack her academic foundation, her career growth, and what she does as a wealth manager. And most importantly, how young South Africans can start creating wealth with intention. Whether you're just starting your career or trying to understand your next financial step, Rebaabetswe brings clarity, honesty, and practical insight that will make you think differently about money. Without wasting time, Rebaabetswe, welcome to In Conversation.
Thank you, Tapiso, for having me.
Awesome. I just need you to clarify something for me before we start. Do you prefer Rebaabetswe or Reb?
I prefer Riwa, and that is because I know a lot of people do struggle with pronouncing the full name.
It's quite a very long name.
Yeah, so Riwa is
Okay.
okay.
Reba, before we get into your career, I want you to tell us who is Reba outside of a job title.
Okay, so outside of work, I was born and bred in Pretoria in a township called Soshanguve. I'm the last born in the family. My elder sister passed, so I'm left with one sister. I am a wife and a mother to my handsome 4-year-old. I enjoy reading. I do hike when I do have the chance. And yeah, I think that is me outside of work
Awesome.
in a nutshell. Yeah.
You studied both BCom Finance and honors in financial planning. When you look back, what initially drew you to that to
Okay. Okay, so I usually tell people that I believe that financial planning chose me and I did not choose it mainly because I always wanted to become a chartered accountant. So when I applied for my university, I made the mistake of making BCom finance my first option and accounting the second. And when I tried to change, they alerted me that the accounting class was already full. So I had no choice but to study BCom finance. But then also the lady then alerted me that, in the first year, so BCom accounting, BCom finance, we all do the same modules. So I could convert when I get to my second year. But then I decided otherwise. I decided to do more research on BCom finance and find out what it's all about. So yeah, I would say that is what sparked my interest then in financial planning.
Oh, okay. So, what surprised you the most about studying financial planning once you started?
I would say how broad it is. It's very broad. It doesn't just lead to one career path. So it has a lot of different career paths that you can choose as you go along. So unlike with, when you're studying accounting, there are other paths, but essentially there is one that everybody is looking to get to. So at least with financial planning, it's broad and you can choose which direction you want to take.
You mentioned your first choice was accounting. Would you go back to school and study accounting?
Not at the moment, no. I believe that I still have a lot of work to do in the industry that I'm currently in. Maybe in the coming years, but for now, my main focus is on financial planning.
So it's not a no, it's a
Yeah, it's not a definite no, it's a maybe, but it's not a priority right now.
Many young people choose degrees without actually knowing what career they lead to. How did your studies shape your understanding of what financial planning looks like in the real?
To be quite honest, I only got to understand, or my understanding really grew when I was doing my third year. That is when we had to do a project or a case study as a group on preparing a financial plan for a client. So we had to treat it as a live client and, prepare everything accordingly. And before that, I mainly understood theory, right? Because there's bits and pieces of the modules and you don't really see how everything comes into play. But when I got to third year and I did financial planning as a module, because you only do it in your third year, that's when you come to see how then, financial planning really impacts people's lives and also the practical skills that are involved thereafter.
So was there any specific module or maybe a lecturer who shaped your thinking?
To be honest, no. I think it was just a matter of being involved in that group assignment and sharing ideas with my fellow colleagues or students back then. And also seeing perspective from other people. I think that's what inclined me more into financial planning, hence going into the honors as well. Yeah, I wouldn't say a lecturer per se, but I would say, being involved with other students and hearing their perspective and their thinking. Um, yeah, that's what really shaped me.
Okay. So since well now you have walked the path, uh, what advice would you give a first year student today who wants to start a career in wealth management? What mindset or habit would you encourage them to adopt or
So I would definitely advise them to invest time in themselves, understanding who they are, understanding what drives them, what are their strengths, and also what is it that they want to contribute. Because as I've said, wealth management or financial planning is broad and it can lead you into different paths. So at least knowing yourself and knowing where your strengths lie, that will help you, focus and stay resilient on the journey that you want to embark on.
so you are a wealth manager and also a certified financial planner. Can you tell us the difference between the two?
So with wealth management, right? It's so in the industry, you either financial advisor, financial planner, a planner. It all really means one and the same. You are giving financial advice to a client, right? And once you have the designation of being a certified financial planner, then that means that you have gone through the board exam and you have this qualification now to say that you can give advice and you are acknowledged by the Financial Planning Institute. So once you have that CFP behind your name, it just shows that you are recognized by the Financial Planning Institute and guided by the rules and regulations thereof.
So what does a wealth manager?
Okay, so a wealth manager, what we do, right, is that we assist clients in preparing their financial plan, right? So we get to know and understand the type of person you are and also look at your balance sheet. So what assets and liabilities do you have and review what you have in conjunction with any financial plans or goals that you also want to embark on. So it's essentially a journey where we provide guidance to the client and it entails a lot of moving components. So it's just not one component that we look at. So we look at everything holistically in preparing a financial plan for you.
Okay. So you said to become a financial planner, before you become a financial planner, there's a board exam that you write. So how long does it take to actually become a financial planner?
So you would need to have a honors or a postgraduate diploma in financial planning in order for you to attempt the exams. So they have changed them. Previously, when I wrote, it was 2 exams that you have to sit in and it's case studies. So you have to treat it as a client to say what advice would you provide to a client, and based on your answers and everything, then you need a 60% mark to pass. However, this year they've introduced a new curriculum whereby you first need to sit in an entrance exam, and then after you've passed the entrance exam, you have it's an 8 weeks course. And then in the last sitting, you have to then submit. So you have to submit your proposal to the client and then they would grade you based on that. And you'd also need to have, so once you've obtained your qualification, right? You would also need to have 3 years experience in the industry. So before you can utilize the CFP behind your name, you'd need experience of 3 years in the industry.
Yeah. Uh, I had a follow-up question.
Something.
Again, but I have a follow-up question. Yeah, no, that's all right. We'll just move forward. So
Chemistry. How
your career started with an internship and grew through advisory support, paraplanning, and finally to becoming a wealth manager. What part of that journey challenged you the most?
So I would say in my career, what challenged me the most, it would be conflict management. That has been my biggest challenge. So I have had to learn how to address disagreements with colleagues, more especially without being disrespectful or it coming across as if, it's a blame game within the team. So that has been my biggest challenge, and I continue to work on it. But it has also molded me because in this industry, we're working with people, different ages, different backgrounds. So it also has shaped my journey as well, as much as it has been a challenge for me.
Yeah, I remember my follow-up question. So my follow-up question was, you spoke about board exams, that you wrote 2 board exams. Were they different? And also, did you get them? Did you pass them at first?
So no, I did not pass them at the first try. So it's two. I had passed the first one, and then the second one I did not make it. So I had to rewrite the second one. I wouldn't say they're difficult. They're challenging, right? Because it's a practical way. So what they're testing is your competency to be able to give proper and accurate advice to clients. So it's really a challenging exam. I had to write it again, and the pass rate also, the overall pass rate as well. It hasn't been anything above 60%. However, the word is not coming, but I really liked the structure because it shows that, once then you have that behind your name, it shows that you are competent and able to deal with clients and deal with clients' money, which is also a very sensitive conversation as well.
So, to use the CPF designation, do you guys pay for it in one thing?
No, no, no. So you are a member, and not everybody can use it. You need to be an affiliated member of the FPA in order for you to use your designation.
Oh, okay. So, uh, you've worked in different corporate environments. How have those spaces shaped your approach to clients and financial?
Working in different corporates and IFAs, it has reinforced my approach and belief, which is being client centric, meaning that before your client is your client, you need to acknowledge that they are a human being and they have emotions. So they're just not a number. So that has really reinforced my belief and the way that I approach my clients so that I'm able to help them in a way that, builds trust, where we are able to build trust before we get into the numbers.
So, what's one lesson you've learned in corporate that you still rely on?
I would have to say that when I started working, there was this saying that one lady said to me is that you measure twice and you cut once. So meaning that whatever that you do, you have to make sure that you get it right the first time. So we are working in an industry that is sensitive, as I've mentioned, because it is clients' money. Should there be a mistake, it's going to be costly and it's going to also impact your reputation as well. So I think I've carried that with me ever since to say that in whatever that you do, you must measure twice and cut once to make sure that you get it right.
So many people the title wealth manager and it's only for the rich. In your own ways, what do you actually do on a day-to-day basis?
I am here to assist clients. So I'm here to provide financial guidance to clients, where firstly it has to be a relationship that we build where I need to understand your financial goals and objectives. And I have to look at your balance sheet, which entails your assets and liabilities, to ensure that whatever recommendation I'll be making to you is suitable to you. And sometimes when you meet a client, it's not that everything is all rosy and good to go. So sometimes it means fixing the house before. I usually say this to clients that we need to fix the house before we start buying the furniture. So meaning if we have to work on clearing any debt or maybe building an emergency savings for you, then that's where we actually start. And then we look at, so the buying the furniture would be looking at your long-term goals, which then would include investing for long-term growth.
Yeah, I actually thought that maybe a person comes to you and says, Reba, 200K and I want to invest. Maybe they just give it to you, then when now you come up with a solution on how to invest it. I didn't know that you give them recommendations and all that.
Yeah, no, it is part. So that's the initial stages to say, here's 200,000. I need it to be invested, but then I need to understand who is Tepiso and what is your goal with it. Because also then that informs the recommendation for it, because the goal behind it is very important to make sure that it's invested in the correct market, if I can put it that way.
Okay, what's one misconception about wealth managers that you wish people would
One misconception is seeing us as sales reps, if I can put it that way. People think we are there to sell them a product, and that is not true. We are there to educate them. We are there to journey with them, and what is for their needs, because with financial planning, it's not one size fits all. So yeah, I think that's the one misconception I would like people to rethink.
do you guys recommend those financial
Yes, so we do. Also, once we have done all the analysis for you and then we recommend a product afterwards, then it just doesn't end there. So
Yeah.
after that, that's why I'm saying financial planning is a journey, because after that, then we regularly meet with you to ensure that, we are still aligned in terms of your goal or goals that you had. And if there are any life-changing events that you may encounter, we make sure that we incorporate them into the plan. So it's not just a one-day thing, here's a product, it's over. It's a journey where we need to make sure that your goals and objectives are met.
Okay. So wealth management requires both technical knowledge and emotional intelligence. How do you balance the two when helping clients make life-changing decisions?
Yeah, no. That's a tricky one because, clients, they need both accurate advice, which speaks to the technicalities of it, meaning that you have to utilize correct tools and analysis in providing the advice. And they also need somebody who understands them, somebody who understands how money makes them feel, and what money means to them. So I try by all means to use clear and relatable language. I also try to be very empathetic with clients throughout the journey because they do face, like you said, life-changing decisions that impact their finances and their financial plan. So both are important, and it's very important not to overlook the other one. So it's important to balance the two, not just have one without the other.
So before I come to you, Ne, as a wealth manager, should I pass by the financial planner first, or it doesn't?
So as a wealth manager, right? I'm not sure I get your question. So are you saying must you pass by?
By the financial planner first before coming to, or I can just come
No,
straight to you.
so you can come through to me. So as I've mentioned in the beginning, financial advice or in the industry are different terminologies to define our role, right? So a financial planner, wealth manager, financial advisor, rep under supervision, it all means the same. So we all do the same thing. The only difference in the would be if it's a paraplanner, but remember it starts with the advisor, right? So you'd first have to come to the financial advisor and discuss. And thereafter, that's where a paraplanner gets introduced into the mix. And it's not all advisory companies that actually also have a paraplanner role, because a paraplanner role then just looks at the technicality of the client's portfolio.
Okay. Would you say anyone can afford to get a wealth manager? So someone that maybe earns maybe from a 5K, can they afford to get a but a wealth manager?
So everybody can get financial advice, right? Because as long as you do earn a salary, so that is your biggest asset, right? Because think of it this way, if you don't have that income, then you won't be able to have expenses, right? Because you won't be able to pay them at the end of the month. So whoever earns an income definitely should have an advisor in their corner who is there to guide them on their financial planning journey.
So it doesn't matter how much you.
It does not matter how much you earn, it's just then a matter of negotiating, because remember, financial advisors, we also need to be compensated. So it's a matter of then engaging with your financial advisor in terms of the fee structure that will be in place. Yes. So we are regulated by the law where we can charge what is called an initial fee of up to 3% and an ongoing fee, which is paid annually of 0.50%. It all depends. Different companies work differently. Some would invoice clients directly, depending on what they're doing with them, and others would just be incorporated in the investment, the payment.
Is it possible for maybe a financial planner or wealth manager to get a commission some of the financial products they recommend?
Yes, yes. So that's how the fees would be accounted for. It would be from the products that we have implemented for you.
Okay, so for a young person starting out, man, what's the simplest definition of building wealth that you think they should internalize?
So I like thinking about building wealth as taking control of your future.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's simple, it's straight to the point. So taking control of your future, meaning that you are starting early and you will definitely reap the fruits of it in the long term, because there is a concept that is called compounding interest, which is very powerful. So the longer you keep your investment invested, um, the better for you, and it will definitely grow and you will see your earnings over time.
Uh, the youth often feel overwhelmed by the long list of financial products that are out there. Retirement annuity, tax-free savings accounts, unit trusts, EFTs, preservation funds. In your view, which product should a young professional you understand first?
Okay, yeah. So all the products, right, they are important in their own setting because they serve a different purpose, right? However, for a young person starting out, I would starting out more, especially if it's a long-term investment. Maybe they want to buy a house in the future or supplement to their retirement. I would definitely recommend a tax-free savings account, mainly because all the growth, the interest, any dividends, any capital gains within a tax-free savings account is completely tax-free, meaning that all your growth in the long term, it will come back to you as is without SARS having a little cut to it. So I would definitely encourage, and also a tax-free savings account, depending on the institution, they do have, affordable, if I can use that word, affordable minimum premiums to start off with. So the little that you can put away as early as possible, the better. And that will encourage, small savings and building up that savings habit as early as possible.
If a person maybe wants to invest in unit trust, do you tell them which unit trust to invest in or educate them about unit?
No, no. So I take them through the process of them having to understand what is a unit trust, and I would then make a recommendation based on the type of investor they are. And then yeah, then we can invest based on my recommendation to them. I just don't give them the information. I also assist them with also comparing the different providers and institutions and then making a recommendation for them.
Okay. So the biggest uh, what's the biggest mistake people make when choosing their first investment?
I would have to say the biggest mistake is people not taking the time to actually understanding where they are. So, because as I've mentioned, you need to understand where are you in your life, where is it you'd like to be, and as advisors or wealth managers, then that's where we get into say, how do we then get you to that point that you want to get to? And a lot of people make the mistake of doing it themselves. So they would see an advert, for example, of a tax-free savings account. They just see savings and they're thinking, okay, that's the one. And they just get in there and, for example, choosing an income fund and leaving the funds in there. So a lot of people make the mistake of just saving for the sake of saving without purpose and understanding.
So you work with people across different income levels. What habits do you constantly see in young professionals who become financially stable?
So with that, I would say that I've seen that people who start early, right, in their planning, they become more financially independent. They avoid bad debts or making the mistake of being heavily indebted, and they become very knowledgeable also in their financial plan. So then they are able to then impart the knowledge to their family and friends, which then comes in as referrals to us as advisors, because then they have the understanding and they're able to impart that knowledge to another person, which then strengthens their own commitment to saving and having good money habits.
With the rise of financial content on social media, many young people are learning from TikTok instead of professionals. How should the youth balance online financial advice with real world?
So I think with social media, people should take it as a sort of a motivation and introduction to financial planning for them, and not as something that they will go and implement immediately themselves. I would recommend that if they do see, something on the social media, that they verify it. There are ways to verify if sources are credible. You can always go onto the Phase website to see if the person or the company has appropriate licensing to give advice, or if that person is a certified financial planner. So it's very important to just cross check, the information that they've got with trusted advisors, so that they don't get misled, because sometimes, on social media it's just hype and for likes and all of that. Sometimes people are actually educating the clients, but it's always best to cross-reference that information with somebody who is qualified, somebody that you can actually talk to and have a conversation with, unlike somebody who just posted on TikTok and would not be able to respond to you.
Okay. eh, Can I follow up questions? But that's how I don't know why, but yeah. eh,
And
Angazi why.
We need those questions.
Because I can lebeletse mo re entse di-questions tse le gape re pedi
Mm.
then ke nyako etse nyana tse nyana o kgone ho mpha 2 minutes fela ke re
Yes, no,
okay.
no problem.
Tshwere A1 ke ye.
Okay.
How do you help clients move from budgeting and surviving to planning and investing?
Okay, so that would go back to drawing the budget, right? Because if you are surviving, it means that you are not living within your means. A lot of things could be contributing to that. You are either heavily indebted or your lifestyle that you're living is not accommodated in the income that you have. So firstly, would have to work on the budget to make sure that you are at a point where you have a surplus on a monthly basis that you are able then to redirect to starting your savings. So with that, would have to look at do you have any debts? If yes, can we consolidate your debts? Can we reduce? We look at we go line item by line item on your expenses. We look at, is this a need? So it goes back, is this a need? Is this a want? To be able to cut and make sure that you are living within your means and that you do have some surplus income. So then that would then lead us to having disposable income that we can then utilize into your financial goals that you might have. And again, with financial planning, it's not just investing. Like I've said, it has a lot of components such as your risk management, which then looks at, do you have sufficient life cover? Do you have critical illness protection in place, disability, and to the likes? So once we do have the disposable income, or we're at the point where we have a disposable income, then we have to look at each and every one of the components of your financial plan and start working towards that.
Oh, so I didn't know that you also do recommendations for life cover. It's a good thing.
Yes. So it's everything, it's holistic. So it's not just investing. Like I've mentioned, we also look at the risk management. Yeah. And then investing then looks at building your wealth and your retirement.
So is it like a reoccurring thing, meeting up with the client once they start with it's more like a lifetime?
Sorry?
I was saying,
Yeah.
is it a reoccurring thing meeting up with the client once they start consulting with you, or they just meet up with you only?
No. So it's, yeah, like I've said, financial planning is a journey. So once we've started on that journey, it's a lifetime journey, unless for some reason we are no longer seeing eye to eye or understanding each other. Then for that reason we might part ways. But for most of it, it's a lifetime journey.
So for a person who's in their 20s or 20, where would you suggest they start in terms of investment?
In terms of investing, okay, yeah. Because I was going to say that, I have to gather all the information and look at what is it that they have in place and what is it that we can recommend and what is a priority to them. So if at this point investing for long term, again, also it's very important to establish the objective of it. Is it for short term or is it for long term? Would have to, yeah, as I've said, it's not a one size fits all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an analysis. It's a get to know you. Why are we investing? Are we investing for short term? Are you gonna need the money in a year? Are you gonna need the money in 5 years? In that would lead into the recommendation. Yeah, because before I can say get into a retirement annuity, for example, I need the information to know, at your work, do you have employee benefits? Are they contributing for you towards a pension or a provident? And then with that contribution, how far are you from your desired retirement income? So, yeah, I'd first need to understand the circumstances in order for me to make a recommendation.
Okay. There's this term I always hear people say. emergency fund. Is it an important thing for a person to have?
Yes, most definitely. Um, okay, let me not go back to when I was answering, but it is a very important element of a financial plan because then if you don't have an emergency savings, and what we usually recommend is that you should have at least 6 months of your salary in an emergency savings, because if you don't have the emergency savings and something comes up and you need funds quickly, then in most cases you are going to get into debt in order to help you in that crisis. So if you do have an emergency savings, I like telling people, think of it as if you'll be borrowing from yourself with no interest. So if you come across an emergency, then you can just borrow from yourself and then fix whatever that needs to be fixed, and then start building that emergency pot again, because without it a lot of people then tap into debt. Some people utilize their credit card as their emergencies, but it comes with the danger of interest. So that is a very, very important starting point, especially if maybe you are young and upcoming. That is where you should start to make sure that you have sufficient funds in case an emergency comes through.
So having an emergency fund is a very, very important thing. It's something that you should have before you even start investing.
Investing, correct, correct. So with a lot of clients, when they come through and they ask for, I need to save for this much, I always go back to, do we have an emergency savings in place? If not, then that is where we begin, and that is my recommendation. And again, sometimes clients take it, some they don't, but that is where I start, and I believe, because you don't know what will happen in future, and you don't want to find yourself now having debt, whereas you could have avoided it by just building this emergency pot for yourself.
So is it really a bad thing using your credit card to pay for those unexpected what? I mean, maybe it does affect
No,
your it does affect your it does improve your credit score. Your credit.
yes, yes, no, it definitely does. It becomes problematic when you now use it as uh what's the word, as your, like, it's no longer like you're an emergency, it's your, you get paid today, you
Yeah.
pay the credit card tomorrow so that you can use it again. So yeah, the word is just not coming. So it's only a problem when it's like that, but otherwise if you are utilizing it as your emergency savings, then yeah, you definitely can do that, but not as your day-to-day living card or expense. Because a lot of people, that's how they do it. They would get paid to pay off the credit card tomorrow or next week. They are using that credit card again for their daily living. But if you are using it as an emergency savings, then yes, it's okay to do that as well.
So can a person come to you? Can a person come to you if maybe they want to start saving for amount?
Yes, they can.
Okay.
They definitely can. Yeah. So again, it all goes back to, how long are they saving it for? When are we taking the cows, so that we can recommend the appropriate product and underlying portfolios for that.
Let's say my timeline is it's a year, and
Yes.
I want to save maybe some 500K. Is this something that can help?
It depends on how much you start off with.
Let's say maybe 10K. Yeah, I start with a 10.
Yeah, technicality now will kick in, but are we saying 10,000 a month?
Yeah, 10. Yeah, 10,000. I'll supplement it every now and then.
No, we definitely can do the analysis. The technical stuff would kick in to say, okay, 10,000 in a year, 10,000 a month in a year, depending on the portfolio we use, maybe assuming interest rate of a return of, let's say, 6%, 7%. Then we future value it to see how much you would have in a year if you'd have that 500,000.
Yeah, that one is more of saving instead of investing.
Yes. Yes. So yeah. So anything short term is more savings than investing. Investing, we're looking at long term. So 3 years to 5 years and beyond.
So investing, we talk about 10 years from or 20
Or five, even five.
or even five.
Even five.
Okay. Uh,
Yeah, even five.
every South African could learn one lesson about money. Only what should
Money doesn't grow under the mattress. I'm joking. What could it be about money? I think I would say that it's very important to understand the basics of it, right? So, which is income, expense, and then from that, you have your disposable or you are running at a shortfall. So I think that is a very important starting point of it to understand what is coming to you and what are you spending on as well, and then do you then have money to save or are you living beyond your means?
mm, in closing,
Yeah.
I want to know if maybe a young person wants maybe venture in your line of work, where should they?
Definitely doing research. I would say do a lot of research because you can, so for example, you can maybe study, become economics, and then later do your postgrad in financial planning, which will then lead you to writing your board exams for becoming a CFP. So if you are in your high school years thinking of venturing into financial planning, then you can take the route of BCom Finance and then honors or a postgrad and then write in the board exams. However, if you've started in another, then you definitely can do your research because as I've mentioned, there are other courses that can lead to financial planning as well.
So, what's next for Rick? In terms of professionality and
So what is next is that I am mainly focusing on my career. I want to ensure that, I can reach as much people as possible, mainly to do financial literacy because that's where it all begins. And yeah, possibly a master's, but we'll see. We'll see about that one. And yeah, personally, just growing the family and continuing to learn and grow. Yeah, I think that's,
Uncle, you are a mother of one.
yes,
How's
I am.
marriage treat?
Motherhood is great. I've learned a lot of things about myself that I didn't know. Yeah, it just teaches you a lot about yourself and caring for someone else.
Oh, okay, and
Because, yeah.
this time is my last question, Katsepi. In in terms of the uh career ladder, eh, how far can a person in your line?
Yeah, I think I don't know, hey. So with financial planning, you can either be a paraplanner, right?
Yeah.
Which you mainly focus on the technical aspect. So an advisor would go out, engage with the client, come back with the information, and then you then assist in putting together the proposal and recommendation, which is the technical side of things. And then there's financial advisor or wealth management, which is what I do. With that as well, you can choose to specialize. There are some advisors who just specializes in investment, who are investment specialists. Some are risk specialists, so looking at the life cover, critical illness and disability and income protection. So you can be an all-rounder like myself where you do everything holistically, or you can choose to specialize in a certain area. So yeah, I think that's how far you can get. Otherwise, if you'd like, then you can also venture into, being a lecturer in universities and things like that.
So, capitalism, no? Do you see yourself
Okay.
specializing in some?
For now, no. And mainly because I work with a lot of young professionals who need assistance in all areas of financial planning. So for now, I'm okay with being an all-rounder,
Okay.
unless maybe in future. For now, as I'm growing as well in this profession, I keep on learning as well new things. So it's always fun to put everything in one picture that I enjoy doing. So for now, I'm all good as an all-rounder and doing holistic financial planning.
You mentioned you work with young professionals. Do you see yourself maybe become a mentoring?
I don't know. I could. I've never tried it, but I mean, I don't know. I could try. I could give it a try.
Only time will tell. Maybe we must recommend
Only time
someone
will.
to you.
Yeah, no, definitely. But previously, so I've had engagements. So where I worked before, when a new intern would come, we would be asked as, the old interns to sort of have a chat with them, check in with them, and see where they are, where is it they see themselves. So I've tried that before, but it was not like a permanent thing.
Yeah.
It would be like a 3 months thing when somebody comes in and they need to settle. So yeah,
Is this something
I
that you
think I
enjoy?
could. One thing I enjoy is imparting knowledge that I enjoy. So I don't mind doing that.
Or it doesn't really have to being a mentor. Since you can still venture into financial financial education, just educating people about
Yeah.
finance and all. Okay.
Yes. No, it can.
Okay. With that being, Reba, thank you for taking the time to talk and sharing your wisdom and your journey with us. I don't know if maybe any parting words you want.
No, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share my journey and a little bit of the knowledge and wisdom that I have.
Awesome.
That's that. Thank you.
Awesome.